Love of the Invisibles, How Ash Found Violet. Copyrighted 2015 by Nazeli Zelian. Violet opened her eyes to the chirping of the birds. The morning light was coming through the windows. She felt disoriented. She was in an elegantly furnished bedroom, but it was not her cruise ship cabin. The vegetation around the body of water with soft waves indicated that she was around a lake, not the ocean. The sun rays were too strong compared to the ones she felt in Alaska. The last thing she remembered was entering the bathroom, and when she was washing her hands, she saw in the mirror those eyes, the icy cold violet like hers, but they had cruelty in them. He had mentally told her not to worry, and that was all she remembered. Now she was sure that he somehow tranquilized her and transported her to the place. Her heart started racing. What was to happen? What did he want from her? Ash, she sent out a message. He is not here. Don't look for him, came a chilling reply. Someone out there could easily read her thoughts, and it was not Gumper. She knew that for sure. She had sensed this energy before, but where? She couldn't remember. She touched the knob of the bedroom door, and to her surprise, it was not locked. She walked into a corridor that had a bathroom on one side and had a door leading to a living room, again nicely furnished and elegantly styled. The windows were open, letting in the fresh scent of summer flowers. She walked to the kitchen. There were fruit and cookies on the table. The front door, she rushed to the door. It too was not locked. She opened it, but when she was about to set foot outside, she felt a strong negative energy field that made her step back to the house. She felt trapped like the farm animals or dogs in the property that have an electrical device around the properties, though so they could not cross. So there were some made for humans, she thought. When she looked out the second bedroom, she could see small houses scattered around farmland and people about. Would it help to scream? She thought. No, came icy reply. Who are you? Violet asked. What do you want of me? Don't worry, Violet, the person sent the message. No harm will come to you if you stay calm and do as I ask. What is it you ask? She asked. I ask you to stay here and live amongst us, came the reply. Live as a prisoner? She thought. For a time being, until you understand your place, came the message. And what if I don't want to? Violet asked. You belong to us, came the strict reply. Violet realized whom it was she was talking with, the man who got into her car parked at the post office. It's you, isn't it? Refi. So they have told you about me, he said. You're my uncle? Yes, and I care about you a great deal, he sent the message. Just relax. I will be around tomorrow and I will explain everything. Don't do anything drastic. Our community is far from any city people dwellings, and if you run, you'll find yourself in a vast wilderness. I only secured you in a house so those living around won't be charmed by you and won't help you escape. They're kind people, but it does not serve my purpose. There's food and water in the refrigerator and a lot of canned foods in the kitchen cabinets and more spare clothes in the closet. If you want to hear city people's senseless talk, you can turn on the TV. I'm leaving the area now, so don't try to communicate with me anymore. Well, that was comforting, Violet thought sarcastically. Everyone she met at the Pine had warned her about Refi and his political designs that will expose invisibles to the world and destroy the harmony of their lives. Violet now realized how the invisibles could be used for technology and healing and even sabotaged for mean purposes like reading their thoughts, swaying their interest, even for marketing purposes. And city people could be able to conquer and exploit her kind by exercising their sheer numbers. They called themselves invisibles for a reason, to be invisible to the outside world. Yes, some of the elite city people knew about them, but there was an understanding between the two humankinds, Violet was told. And now her uncle wanted to use her for his political intrigues. Violet slept little, sitting in front of the large screen television set. She tried to activate the internet access on the TV, but it was blocked, and she was not surprised. She wondered how did Refi find her. Ash told her that they were very safe. He had asked a friend to buy the tickets on his name, and the names of the passengers were changed last minute for an additional fee at time when the site for the particular cruise ship was already inaccessible due to the close date to the embarkation. It would not have shown in the database before the cruise had reached its final destination, Vancouver. For a slight moment she thought that someone had spoken about them being on a cruise. But who? No one at the Pine would have said a word or had contact with Refi. But he had found her before. The email, Violet suddenly remembered. She talked to Ellison about the cruise and gave detailed information about her travels and plans just to reassure her that she was happy and everything was all right. Refi could have hacked her email. There was no other explanation of how he found out about her. Looking from the lightness of his eyes when she saw him the first time in her car, it was obvious that Ref did not spend much time in a warmer climate. Although the lake area was more warmer than Alaska, it was much cooler than in Los Angeles. Violet tried to think of possibilities to escape, but she didn't have many options. She didn't have cash in hand or any kind of identification. She had no means of transportation and direction. The only strategy would be to gain Ref's trust and then work a plan to escape. But when would it be? Although in early stages of development she was pregnant, Refi could read her mind, so she was very vulnerable. What if she can control what Refi could or could not read? Was it possible that he was reading it now? What was Ash telling her about blocking her thoughts? Keep your energy around you in a form of a short wave instead of sending it out. Bubble it around you, Ash had said to her from the day they had met. Didn't Aunt Hermina tell her that she was stronger than her uncle because females inherited more gifts than males in the family? She had to try. That thought calmed her enough to fall asleep under the low volume of the television set. She was so exhausted that she did not dream, but woke up from a call. Someone was calling her name. Violet. It felt very close, like behind the front door. But it wasn't Ash. She was sure of that. To her horror, she realized who the caller was. It was Gumper. Go away, she sent him a message. I'm right here, in front of the house. Open the door and I can help you escape, Gumper messaged. Violet knew that she shouldn't give in to his lures, but she slowly walked to the door and opened it. Gumper's tall, strong-built figure blocked the light in front of the door. Somehow, Violet sensed that he posed no threat to her even before she opened the door. Hello, beautiful, he said with what looked like a charming smile, but Violet felt like Gumper had lost some of his alluring magnetism towards her. By now, she knew that Ash had penetrated too deep into her soul and seeded roots that would have his presence known, whether he was with her or not. Don't tell me that I have lost you so soon, he said softly, and Violet felt his magnetic energy surge through her body. His light green eyes showed genuine concern and feelings for her. We were supposed to be together, and if you were not abducted, we would have been married by now, he said with sadness in his eyes. Remember, Violet talked to herself, trying very hard to block that thought, and by looks of him, Gumper did not receive that. It was working, this blocking business of hers. She must have shown excitement in her eyes since Gumper said, I knew you will come back to me. But what Violet was trying to remember were the 2 encounters with Gumper, and she was trying to persuade herself that the Gumper that stood in front of her was the same man who tried to forcefully abduct her from Ash. Somehow, he sensed her hesitation and said, Forgive me. It was wrong of me to behave the way I did the 2 times we met, but believe me, I had no choice. Ash's uncle, Armand, had abducted you once. I was trying to save you from being taken the 2nd time. What? What did you say? She said in disbelief. She knew that what was said was true because by now she was able to sense the sincerity and truthfulness in every word spoken by Gumper. And since he shared matched energy with her, everything with him was so transparent, there was very little to conceal. Violet stared through him. She didn't know what or who to believe anymore. It might not be true. Aunt Hermina's husband couldn't abduct her or tear her apart from her family. Or was it the right thing to do for her or for Ash's family? She was so confused. She had to think. She shut the door and moved away. Violet, please don't send me away, Gumper pleaded. She returned to open the door, hoping to find out more. Why? She asked. Why was I taken away? Refi was very articulate about his plans about you when you were a child in certain circles that Armand was part of. Refi said that you were stolen to weaken his plans. He paused for a second. It affected me greatly too, he said with eyes so sad Violet was ready to cross over and hug him for comfort. As a child, when we played together, I was a part of a whole. Us, we were one. We understood each other completely. We communicated freely without speaking a word. Our parents had great plans for us. It was all set from birth. They bragged about how beautiful our children would be and predicted how rare their colors would be. Think about turquoise eyes, he sighed. I never recovered after you were taken away. Violet was taken with how genuine he was. She must have shown it through since Gumper extended his hand. Here, if you match my energy from your side, we can break the shield that surrounds the house. It is a powerful defense. We will feel weaker for a while, but we will regain our power soon enough to escape. What about you serving Refi? Violet asked. I don't care about his plans. I'm tired of being his puppet. All I want is you. Why was Violet feeling sorry? Was it the look in his sad eyes that were closer to color of peridot than emerald with the approaching of cool fall winter? They looked so comforting. In this strange place, Gumper was the only link to the past. Did Ash know Armand was the person who abducted me? I'm not sure. He must have known. Did he tell you why you were abducted? Yes. Then most likely he knew, Gumper said. Why didn't Ash's family or his uncle keep me then? Violet asked. Because Refi was hot on Armand's trail, and wherever he kept you, your uncle would have eventually found you. So he made an ultimate decision to lose you from everyone, even from himself, Gumper explained. Armand took you to a hospital emergency room and left you there, and once away, gave them a call and told them that he found you, but he wanted to stay anonymous, so he left. He held out his hand again. We can go away from all of this, he said. And how did you come to know all of this? Violet said, ignoring the hand for the present. Refi told me he made Armand confess, but that is as far as he got until Ash found you. He had to wait long, though, because it took many years to find your first match, and he knew that he will be attracted to you like a moth to the fire, Gumper said with disgust. Violet, what are you thinking now? He asked. You look distressed. She was pondering upon the suspicion that Refi had something to do with Armand's death. Death? What death? Gumper asked. Gumper, she said his name, and saw that it made him smile. Did you read what I just thought? Yes, of course, you said death, he said. It was starting to work, Violet thought, cautiously, and noticed that thought didn't reach Gumper's mind in its entirety. Just the last word. She was able to block thoughts even to the person she was most vulnerable to. Violet, what are you thinking? He asked. Crossing the field would not kill us. It will just weaken us. Sorry, I'm not ready, not yet. Violet stepped back from the door. We would be hunted by Refi and his people, wherever we run. I need to talk to him and sort things out. You're doing a mistake, Gumper said. There's no talking or winning with Refi. There's only one way, Refi's way. Why don't you believe me? I've realized that he used me to find you and get you here. But he went back on his promise of giving you to me. What do you mean by to be given to you? Violet thought. Oh, that came out wrong. It didn't mean like that, he said. You read my thoughts again, didn't you? She asked. Yes, it is easy when you use words. It only gets difficult when you use images for thought. Those are not possible to retrieve. I've heard stories about some gifted invisibles being able to do so even with the ones that are unmatched with. But even Refi cannot penetrate image thoughts. Violet smiled and tried not to think anything but portrayed a little girl jumping with excitement like she found a treasure. Gumper squinted his eyes trying to read her thoughts, but it was obvious that he could not retrieve anything this time. That made Violet more excited of a possibility that she could somehow block her thoughts. What was that? I didn't read that. Gumper was obviously talking about her hidden thoughts. Violet, there's no time to lose. Violet shook her head, closed her eyes, and slowly closed the front door. Time passed while she refreshed herself, had some eggs with toast, and sat on the recliner to think. She felt more secure that she would be soon able to block her private thoughts to herself from Refi's prying mind.